Hey, how you doing? This is Adam Post, publisher of more than 1,000 comic books and marketing expert covering woke video game failure causes massive layoffs for game studio. Let's get into the story. Before we do, please be sure you are subscribed to the channel. Click the bell for notifications. Give me a thumbs up. I really appreciate you guys. When we talk about what's a woke game or what's a woke movie or TV show, this is a reference to trying to push diversity, equity, and inclusion at the expense of producing something that's actually good. You don't have to have a certain gender or skin color to make something that people will enjoy. The problem comes when you try to use the ideology to push diversity, equity, inclusion, acceptance of trans people, or whatever it is you're trying to do before a story. You can have what could be a great personal story, like this video game might actually have, greatly affecting the life of the creator, and still put something together that is not relevant or resonant with anybody who'd play the game. This game is about a character that lost somebody very personal to them. They suffered a tremendous loss. And the character trying to deal with that loss seems to go on a quest to try to make everything right. We've all lost people in our lives, so that's very relatable. But what's not relatable is not making it a story that's a human story, but making it something where you're trying to push an agenda. So here's what happens, and it's what happens every time. From thatparkplace.com, Tales of Kenzera Zao developer begins laying off employees despite previously claiming that boycott did not crush game. So who's Sweet Baby Inc? Because they're a big part of this. Sweet Baby Inc. consults on video game narratives during development to promote diversity, equity, and inclusion within game narratives and studios. There's nothing wrong with hiring game consultants, but what you should get out of that is quality games. Great resonant stories that everyone enjoys and everyone can relate to. Sweet Baby has a reputation for not providing that. And it's not about color, it's not about gender. Look at something else Sweet Baby did. They got involved with Marvel's Wolverine, and they're consulting on it. So rather than take Jean Grey, who's always been beautiful, and allowing her to be beautiful in the game, this is Jean Grey. This is a typical Jean Grey image. She's beautiful. They turned her into this, a mess. Someone who comments on Twitter points out that she looks like Melinda Gates. That's not necessary. It's not like technology hasn't existed where you can make characters look accurate. But making characters ugly, literally, this is her again, making characters ugly is part of their inclusion agenda. This kind of nonsense is costing companies, of course, millions of dollars because people don't want this. Their only hope is that they can push this on people like a communist government and give you no options and just tell you, look, this is what it is. You need to buy it. You need to accept it. But people don't accept it. And they've started boycotting any game that Sweet Baby was involved with. From That Park Place, this goes back to April. Sweet Baby Inc. boycott crushes Tales of Kenzera Zao as game's total concurrent players peaked at just 287. Concurrent players means customers of the game all playing at the same time. It's amazing that technology exists, that you can actually have players playing simultaneously and interacting with games online. It's a huge industry that people like Sweet Baby Inc. are trying to get involved with and take over the storytelling. It's not about good stories. It's not about good games. It's not about good anything. It's about trying to push their ideas in culture that weren't well made, that aren't resonant with people personally. Even when you have something so personal and resonant as the loss of a parent. This is from the creator of this game. Quote, the inspiration came from a lot of places, but is truly driving from the grief that I subsequently traveled through and journeyed through after losing my father 10 years ago. Can you imagine what that's like? We've all lost some grandparent or parent at some point in our lives, or unfortunately, if you haven't, you will at some point. That's the nature of life. This could have been a great game. It probably could have even helped people deal with their grief. No, instead, it's got to be about pushing an agenda. What an incredible waste. From thatparkplace.com, Sweet Baby Inc. influenced Tales of Kenzera Zao developer begins laying off employees despite previously claiming that boycott did not crush game. Surgent Studios, the video game development company that developed Tales of Kenzera Zao with the help of consultancy Sweet Baby Inc., is now laying off employees. Of course, if the game had done well, of course, if the game had done even moderately well, they would not be laying off employees. As initially reported by Minimal Effort, numerous Surgent Studios employees announced they'd been laid off on LinkedIn. Joe Philpott, a 3D environmental artist, posted, quote, "Unfortunately, I've been affected by the layoffs at Surgent Studios. If you or anyone you know is looking for a 3D artist or 3D environment artist with 3+ years of experience and multiple ship projects and games in VR, I would love to talk more." And of course, a message to anyone who knows that they're working on a woke project. This is happening to all the woke projects. Pixar looks like it's been claimed back. Pixar's Inside Out 2 looks like it's severely damaged Pixar's ability to push out any other movies focusing on diversity, equity, inclusion nonsense, because the thing made just too much damn money. And it wasn't a DEI movie. They've already announced a couple of months ago they were moving away from it. Now it's a guarantee. And Marvel's doing their new Deadpool movie with Wolverine. Anyone who watches the industry knows that movie's going to make a lot of money. People are excited to go see it. If the word of mouth is bad, it won't do as well, but it looks like they're just making a decent movie and not pushing an agenda. I can promise you this, if Jean Grey pops up in the new Deadpool and Wolverine movie, she's not going to look like this, and she's not going to look like this. So for anyone working for a company like this, that you know they're out there pushing agendas, whether it's video games or whether it's manufacturing cars, just know these companies are not going to last. These managers are not going to last. And Pixar laid off a ton of employees before the success of Inside Out 2. They knew it would be a hit, but they also knew they didn't need a group of employees that was producing this kind of nonsense. I did a separate video about that, and it's clear they selected out a lot of people that were there to push an agenda rather than to do excellent work. Jordan Smee, a former technical artist at Surgent Studios, also wrote, quote, "Well, it looks like I'm joining all the people affected by industry layoffs this year, and I am now seeking technical art and environmental art positions. If anyone in my network is aware of any openings or can offer any guidance or help in getting me to my next steps, I would sincerely appreciate it." He added, "Looking to start ASAP or as close to that as possible." Of course, when Jordan eventually does find additional work, his number one priority should be, can you take me on now and start paying me now? But his number two priority should at least be, if they're not going to be doing diversity, equity, and inclusion stuff, because if they are, he's going to be looking for another job very soon. Pete Brisbourne, a former level designer at Surgent Studios, posted, "Hello, the chapter entitled Pete Works at Surgent Studios is coming to a close at the end of the month." He added, quote, "If you're looking for a remote game level content designer with technical Unreal and Unity experience who's quick to learn and whose favorite ice cream flavor is pineapple, then drop me a message. Thanks." I was not aware they had pineapple ice cream. I'm a mint chocolate chip guy myself. Philip Smee, who was a producer at Surgent Studios, also announced he was being laid off. He wrote, quote, "I'm another casualty of the Wild West industry that is video game development. I'm open to project management roles with the tech and digital industries. Down to chat about any other roles I can help to fill. I'd be extremely curious, so send me a message and we can chat. No expectations on your side." Surgent Studios also confirmed the layoffs, posting to X, quote, "Unfortunately, Surgent has joined the growing number of game studios impacted by layoffs this year, with just over a dozen people affected. It's a difficult time in the games industry, but we remain incredibly proud of our entire team's work on ZOW and the praise it has received from critics and players alike." The company concluded, "Our focus is now on supporting those affected, continuing our work on ZOW and looking to the future with our next creative projects." These layoffs come in the wake of the game's director, Abu Bakr Salim, claiming the game's sales were fine after painting himself as a diversity victim and announcing a deep discount on the game. He would later clarify his video in a thread on X. In the thread, he specifically addressed why he was discounting the game as well as the game's sales. First, he offered an explanation for why he was discounting the game. Quote, "Why drop the price of your game? It's our way of making a statement in the face of targeted harassment," he says. Salim continues, "When we hear the word diversity, we always think about race or gender as the only factors. This is a very narrow and, honestly, uneducated interpretation of what diversity can mean. Diversity is also incredibly closely linked to our socioeconomic positions and the issues we face globally. Diversity can also encompass people who struggle with the pressures of ensuring that there's enough food on the table, a roof over families' heads, and all the other elements that are vital to day-to-day comfort and survival, many of which people take for granted because they haven't had similar challenges, he elaborated. As a business owner, at this stage, the pricing of Zao is the only aspect I can use to take action, he concluded. He could actually come out and apologize to everyone for working with Sweet Baby Inc., for trying to put ideology and pushing an agenda over telling an important story. And he could just go ahead and publicly tell his important story again and talk about his relationship with the character to try to inspire people to understand the way that he felt when he was working on the game. But that's a little bit too much sincerity. It's a little bit too much honesty. And that's why these projects fail. He continues, quote, "Even this is a difficult thing to orchestrate, especially while being respectful to our partners. Lowering the price of a game is much easier said than done. It's a miracle we were able to action this so soon, and it's largely thanks to the efforts and support of many people on our side and the publishing side." Next, he addressed the game's sales. Quote, "The game isn't selling well." Also false. I've addressed this on an Ask Me Anything Reddit. That's a live session on Reddit, which is an interactive website where you can comment on subjects. And sometimes if people come on there, you can ask them questions live and then they respond live. He continues, "The numbers some are circulating are a fraction of our actual playership, and they're being shared in bad faith by people who are wanting to provide proof that the harassment campaign has been successful in punishing us for daring to take up space." If you want to take up space, everyone gets to take up space. Everyone gets to get the money together, get the resources together, and put out a competitive product. But you're going to compete with people who actually care about what they're doing, not people that are all hamstrung, handicapped, held back by trying to push a ridiculous sociological agenda in an ineffective way. Focus first on producing something good, something sincere, something honest, something you're passionate about. And be honest with the people who are customers and are supporting the game. And when you screw up, apologize. It's okay. You can say you're sorry. You can ask for people's support. You can tell them again how important this game is to you personally and how much of yourself is invested in the game personally. Stop it with the diversity stuff. People would actually relate to that. We're all human beings. And that's what people who push agendas forget. Everyone on earth can relate to everyone else, but as a person, not as someone who's supposed to be buying into an ideology. Let me know what you think of all this in the comments below. Always love to see your ideas. Please be sure you are subscribed to the channel. Click the bell for notifications, give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you again soon with another story. And if I don't see you, I will miss you.